The stars stretched across the black sky like cold fire, and the small human ship drifted forward, unaware that it had crossed an invisible line. The crew sat inside the control room, watching the strange readings on their scanners. "Captain, these coordinates are not in our maps," one officer whispered. His voice uneasy, the captain leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "Keep moving, it could be just a glitch," he said. But deep inside, he felt the silence around them was too heavy. Too watchful. Suddenly alarms rang and red lights flashed. Massive shapes appeared outside, alien warships with silver hulls that glowed like blades. "Unknown vessels detected, they are locking onto us," the helmsman cried. The humans froze for a moment, then the comm screen lit up. A tall alien with ridged skin and burning eyes appeared. His voice was cold. "You have entered the sacred empire without permission. Surrender your ship or be destroyed." The crew exchanged glances. "Fear rising," one young officer whispered. "We are trapped." But the captain stood straight. "This is the united human fleet. We do not surrender to threats." His calm words filled the room with a strange strength. The alien sneered, "You are only one small vessel. You cannot resist the empire." Laughter rippled across the alien bridge. But the humans did not laugh. They stayed silent, their silence itself a weapon. Moments stretched, every heartbeat loud. The alien commander raised his hand. "Prepare to fire. Make an example of them," he ordered. And energy cannons began to glow. The human crew gripped their stations. A woman at the weapons console whispered, "Captain, we cannot fight all of them." He looked at her and said quietly, "Sometimes you don't need to fight all. You only need to show them you will fight back." Tension wrapped around every soul in the room. Outside, the alien guns glowed brighter, ready to burn them into dust. Then a sudden voice broke through the static. "Incoming jump signatures detected," the sensor officer shouted. And then, like ghosts rising from the dark, 3 human warships appeared from hyperspace. Their black hulls cutting across the stars, the alien laughter stopped at once. The new ships positioned themselves in a triangle around the smaller vessel. Shields up, cannons locked. A message came across the human channel. "Captain, reinforcements reporting, standing by." Relief washed over the crew, but their captain only nodded, his eyes fixed on the alien commander on the screen. The alien's face twisted in shock, then anger. "You dare call for war against the Empire? You are fragile creatures from a forgotten world. You will burn." The human captain answered, his voice calm but heavy. "We are fragile, but we stand, and if you test us, you will remember this night." The alien's eyes narrowed. He hesitated, his hand trembling slightly as he prepared to give the order. But before he could speak, the nearest alien cruiser launched a warning shot, a streak of burning plasma that shook the human ship. Alarms screamed. The crew gritted their teeth. The captain gave a single order, "Return fire." The human warships answered with brutal precision. Beams of energy and missiles tore through the alien cruiser. In seconds it cracked open like broken glass. Explosions lit the void. Silence fell over both fleets. The humans did not cheer, they only watched. Their discipline frightening. The alien commander on the screen stared, his face pale. "Impossible," he muttered. His empire had ruled for centuries. No one had dared fire back. Yet these humans had destroyed one of their ships as if swatting a fly. "Do you still believe we are fragile?" the human captain asked coldly. The alien swallowed, rage and fear twisting inside him. The crew of the Empire ships whispered nervously. Old legends spoke of Deathworlders, of beings that thrived in pain and war. And now those stories stood alive before them. The alien leader raised his hand again, but this time it shook. His officers looked at him with doubt. One whispered, "They are not like the others. They do not kneel." The commander's eyes darted across his own bridge. Fear spreading among his own crew, he realized that another order to fire could destroy more of his ships, and the Empire's pride would shatter across the stars. On the human side, the captain sent one last message, his voice steady and final. "We came here by mistake, but we will not bow. If you attack us again, more ships will come, and your empire will remember that humans never back down." His words echoed across the comm lines. Heavy as iron, the alien ships slowly lowered their weapons. Silence filled the space between two species. No peace treaty, no handshake, only a line drawn in fire. The human captain stood still, his crew looking at him with pride. The alien commander cut the transmission, his eyes dark with shame. He knew this story would spread. The Empire would never forget the night a single human ship defied them and lived. Whispers of humanity's courage would travel through every planet, every station, and every hall of power. The galaxy had just seen the truth. Humans were not explorers to be bullied. They were a force that would fight, even in the shadow of an empire. And as the stars burned quietly outside the viewport, every human on board understood this mistake had changed everything forever. The stars still burned cold after the clash. Wreckage from the destroyed alien cruiser drifted in silence. The human crew stared at the floating ruins with tight jaws. The captain's voice was calm but steady. "Hold formation. We wait." His crew nodded, though fear still beat in their hearts. On the alien flagship, the commander paced back and forth. His officers avoided his eyes. One of them whispered, "They should have begged for mercy. Why are they not afraid?" Another muttered, "Their warships moved with perfect aim, like predators." The commander slammed his fist against the console. "Enough, they are only flesh and bone. We will break them." But even as he spoke, his voice shook. On the human ship, a young officer leaned toward the captain. "Sir, they are regrouping. We cannot survive if they all fire." The captain's face remained still. "Fear is their weapon, but silence is ours." The words sank deep into the crew, filling them with strange fire. Then a sudden message cut through the static. The alien commander's face appeared again, his eyes full of cruel pride, though shadows of doubt lingered. "Humans, you stand in sacred space. Leave at once or face the full wrath of the Empire." His voice echoed across the ship. The crew looked at their captain, waiting, but he did not rush. He let the silence stretch. Finally, he spoke. "We did not come to bow. We came to explore, and we will not retreat because of fear." His words were simple yet heavier than any weapon. The alien's lips curled into a sharp grin. "Brave words for creatures so fragile. Do you think your little fleet can resist the Empire?" The captain replied coldly. "We will resist as long as we must. We are not leaving." And he ended the transmission, shocking both his crew and the alien bridge. On the alien side, whispers spread like fire. "Why do they not run?" one officer asked. "Even the stronger races kneel when the Empire speaks." The commander's eyes burned with fury. "Because they are fools, and fools die," he roared outside. Alien fleets began to arrive one by one, warships filling the dark sky until the stars themselves vanished behind their hulls. The humans watched quietly, their 3 warships forming a shield around the smaller exploration vessel. "Sir, more than 20 ships are here now," the sensor officer reported. His hands trembling, the captain breathed deeply. "And yet, the sky is still ours." His voice spread calm through his people, though every heartbeat felt like thunder. The Empire decided to send a warning display. 5 alien cruisers moved forward, their weapons glowing. The commander spoke again. "Humans, you have one chance. Surrender and become subjects, or we will crush you into dust." The captain stood silent for a moment, then turned to his crew. "What do you say?" One by one the crew answered. "We do not kneel," their voices low but fierce. The captain opened the comm again, his voice clear. "If you fire, we will answer," the alien commander sneered. "Then so be it." And with a flick of his hand, the alien cruisers unleashed a storm of fire. Brilliant plasma streaked across the void. Smashing into the shields of the human ships, alarms rang. Metal groaned. Sparks flew inside the bridge. The crew held on, eyes wide. "Shields at 60%, the weapons officer cried. The captain's jaw tightened. "Return fire. Aim for their lead ship," human cannons roared. Missiles streaked across the dark, striking the alien cruiser in a brutal arc. One ship exploded instantly, another spun out of control. The Empire fleet gasped in disbelief. "They should not be able to do this," an alien officer shouted. "Their weapons are too sharp." Too fast, another whispered. Are the stories true? Are these Deathworlders? Fear began to crawl into the alien voices. Back on the human ship, the crew barely had time to breathe. Shields at 40%, sir. We cannot take much more. The captain raised his voice. Hold steady. We must make them doubt. Outside, the wreckage of alien ships glowed in the dark. The rest of the fleet hesitated. They were stronger, larger, but for the first time they felt unsure. In that moment, another twist came. A new signal blared. More human ships appeared from hyperspace. Black warships with sharp wings, their engines burning like cold fire. 5, then 10, then 20 ships emerged. Surrounding the Empire fleet, the human crew gasped in shock. Even the captain's calm eyes widened slightly. Reinforcements have arrived. The comm filled with human voices. Fleet command here, Captain. Stand down. We take it from here. But the captain shook his head. No, let them see who we are. His voice was firm. He opened the comm again, speaking not to one alien, but to the entire Empire fleet. We are humans. We come from a world of storms, fire and endless war. We did not come to kneel. We came to stand. Remember that before you call us fragile, the alien commander's heart thundered. His officers looked at him with wide eyes. None dared speak. The humans now outnumbered them, their black warships sharp against the light of dying stars. The commander knew if he gave the order to fight, his entire fleet would be destroyed, and the shame would end his career. Slowly he lowered his hand. Withdraw, he whispered. His voice broken, his officers obeyed. The alien ships pulled back, their silence heavier than words. The humans did not fire again. They simply watched as the Empire retreated. The crew of the small exploration vessel sat in stunned silence. They had walked into the heart of an empire and refused to bow, and now they had survived. As the last alien ship vanished, the captain stood tall. His crew staring at him with pride and awe, he spoke softly. Today the galaxy has seen what it means to be human. The words filled the ship with quiet strength. Across the stars, whispers would spread, tales of fragile beings who stood against an empire and did not fall. The mistake that had led them here was no longer a curse. It had become a legend. The crew knew their journey was not over. More battles and dangers would come. But one truth had been written across the sky. Humans may be small, but they will never back down. And the Empire would never forget the night their power was tested by those who refused to kneel. The stars grew quiet after the Empire fleet pulled back. But the silence did not bring comfort. It brought questions. The human crew watched the empty space where dozens of enemy warships had vanished, and unease crawled into their thoughts. The captain stood on the bridge, his face unreadable. One officer whispered, "Sir, why would they retreat so quickly? They outnumbered us." Another answered in fear, "Maybe they are planning something worse." The captain raised his hand for silence, his voice calm but sharp. "Do not mistake their retreat for surrender. The Empire does not forget insults." His words sank into the crew like cold iron, and even though they had won, no one smiled outside. The wreckage of alien ships still floated, glowing red with fire. A grim reminder of how close death had come. Suddenly, the comm crackled with static. A signal not human. A strange voice filled the room, deep and layered as if more than one throat was speaking. "Humans, you are reckless children. You have drawn the gaze of the Empire, and now you will face its shadow." The crew stiffened, eyes darting to the captain. He pressed his hand to the console. "Identify yourself." The voice only laughed. "Hollow and cold, we are the Watchers, servants of the Empire, and your defiance has been marked." Before anyone could respond, the signal cut, leaving only silence and the heavy breathing of the crew. One young woman at communications whispered, "Sir, was that a threat?" The captain shook his head slowly. "It was a promise." Not long after, sensors screamed again. New signatures appeared. Not just ships, but something stranger. Massive black shapes that seemed to swallow the starlight around them. "Sir, unknown craft approaching. Their design doesn't match the Empire's standard fleet," the officer cried. The captain narrowed his eyes. "They sent their hunters," he muttered. The alien ships moved without sound, without lights, like shadows sliding across the void. Their weapon systems glowing faintly with an energy humans had never seen. The crew felt the chill run through their veins. One whispered, "They don't even look alive," another said shakily. "Maybe they aren't." The captain did not answer. He only said, "Hold positions, prepare for impact." The first attack came fast. Beams of dark light cut across space, striking human shields and making the metal groan as if the ships themselves screamed. Sparks rained down on the bridge. Crewmen shouted, "Shields dropping, 80%, 70%. The captain stayed calm, his voice low but steady. "Target their lead ship. Fire everything we have." Human weapons blazed, missiles streaked, cannons roared, but when they struck the alien hunters, the explosions faded like smoke. The ships did not break, they absorbed the fire. Glowing brighter as if feeding on the attack, the crew gasped in horror. "Our weapons aren't working," the weapons officer shouted, panic filling his face. "They're feeding on us." The captain clenched his fists. "Then we change the game," he ordered the fleet to scatter. Human ships breaking formation and weaving through space. The alien hunters pursued with cold precision. One hunter fired again, striking a smaller human frigate. The ship exploded in a blinding flash. Screams cut through the comm channel before it went silent. The crew of the main vessel froze, shock gripping their hearts. One whispered, "We just lost them, they're gone." Rage boiled inside the captain's eyes, but his voice stayed even. "Then we do not waste their sacrifice. Adjust weapons to overload, push our cannons beyond safety limits, give them something they cannot eat." His crew stared in disbelief. "Sir, that could destroy our own ship," the captain answered firmly. "Better to burn fighting than be drained like cattle." The humans obeyed. Hands flying across consoles, power surged into the weapons. The ship shuddered under the stress. Alarms blaring, the hunters closed in, their strange weapons glowing. Then the captain gave the order. "Fire!" The overloaded cannons burst with power, blinding beams slamming into the closest hunter. For a moment, the alien ship seemed to absorb the energy, but then cracks spread across its black hull, glowing red until it split apart in a violent blast. The void filled with debris. The crew gasped. It worked. The captain's voice was cold. "One down, more to go." The hunters shifted tactics, moving in closer, their dark weapons tearing at human shields. One officer cried, "Sir, shields at 30%. We cannot take another wave." The captain closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with steel. "Send this message to all ships when they strike. Do not run, move forward, close the distance. Make them choke on our fire," the fleet answered. Human warships charging like wolves into the shadow of the hunters. Missiles detonated at point-blank range. Cannons tore into weakened hulls. Another hunter collapsed into flame. But a human destroyer was ripped apart in the counterattack, its pieces scattering across the stars. The crew on the main vessel fell silent, grief heavy in their chests, but the captain spoke firmly. "Every death will be remembered, but we will not stop." After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, the last hunter faced the human fleet, damaged and burning. Its weapons failing, it tried to escape, but the humans pursued, relentless, until the final blast shattered it into dust. Silence returned to the void, broken only by the breathing of survivors. The human crew slumped in exhaustion, sweat and tears on their faces. The captain looked at them, his voice heavy. "We have learned something tonight. The Empire does not only use soldiers, it uses shadows. Weapons older and darker than war itself, and they will not stop." His crew listened in silence. Then one brave voice spoke, "Sir, we survived them. Maybe we can survive whatever comes next." The captain nodded slowly. "Yes, we survived. And now the galaxy knows humans are not prey. We are hunters too." His words spread through the fleet like fire, filling every heart with grim pride. Outside the wreckage of alien shadows drifted, proof of a truth that could not be erased. Humanity had faced the Empire's hunters and had not broken. And though more dangers waited in the darkness, One thing was certain, the humans had drawn a line in the stars, and they would never step back. The battlefield was quiet after the hunters were destroyed. But the silence was uneasy. The human crew sat in the dim glow of their bridge, listening to the faint hum of engines and the crackle of damaged systems. The captain stood with his hands behind his back, his gaze fixed on the wreckage outside. "They sent their hunters and failed," he said softly, though his voice carried weight. "Which means the Empire will send worse." His crew exchanged nervous glances. One officer whispered, "Sir, if that was not their worst, what is left?" The captain turned slowly, his eyes cold. "The Empire has weapons older than its fleets, tools of fear, and I believe we are about to see them." Before anyone could respond, sensors blared, strange signals rippling across space. Not ships this time, but something deeper. "Sir, I'm detecting a distortion," the sensor officer stammered. "It is not hyperspace, it is something else." The crew leaned over screens as the distortion widened, like a wound in the stars. From it emerged massive alien constructs, shaped like black temples drifting through space. Glowing with runes older than memory, the crew felt dread coil in their stomachs. One whispered, "What are those things?" The comm lit up again. The Empire commander's face filled the screen, his eyes burning with both fury and triumph. "Humans, you should not have survived the hunters. But now you face the Empire's judgment. These are the obelisks of silence. They have ended civilizations greater than yours." His lips twisted into a cruel smile. The human captain did not flinch. "You hide behind relics because you fear us," he replied calmly. The commander sneered. "Fear you? No, we mean to erase you, and no trace of your kind will remain." At his signal, the obelisks glowed brighter, energy pulsing outward, waves that cut into human systems. Lights flickered, consoles died. Crew shouted as their weapons went offline. "Sir, they are shutting us down," the engineer cried, panic in his eyes. "Our systems are freezing. It is like our ships are suffocating." The crew felt helpless. Their proud warships suddenly reduced to silent hulks. The captain gripped the arm of his chair, his jaw tight. "If they mean to silence us, then we must speak louder." His words confused the crew. "Sir, what do you mean?" the comm officer asked. The captain's eyes burned. "Send a distress pulse to every human ship within range. Make the signal open. Let the Empire hear it too. Let them know we will not vanish quietly." Hesitation flickered across the officer's face. But he obeyed. Moments later, the pulse echoed across the void. The alien commander laughed. A cry for help. Pathetic. But then something unexpected happened. New signals appeared on the sensors. Faint at first, then growing, not just human ships but allies. Smaller civilizations long bent under the Empire's shadow. They had heard the signal and they were moving. "Sir, multiple fleets responding, not only ours," the officer cried. "The signal is spreading." The captain's lips curved in a grim smile. "So the silence is broken." The obelisks unleashed another wave, this one stronger. Whole decks went dark. One frigate spun powerless into the void, explosions sparking from its hull. The human crew gritted their teeth. One whispered, "We cannot fight them like this," but the captain shook his head. "Then we do not fight them with weapons, we fight them with will." He turned to engineering. "Overload our reactors, make them unstable. Direct the energy into our communication array." The engineer paled. "Sir, that could destroy us." The captain's voice was steady. "If we burn as a torch that lights the way." The crew exchanged fearful but determined looks, and one by one they nodded. "Yes, sir," they answered. The humans worked quickly, rerouting power, forcing energy into the failing systems. Sparks lit the bridge, smoke filled the air. The ship shook like a dying beast. The captain's voice cut through the chaos, aimed the signal at the obelisks. Let them choke on the noise of humanity. The array blazed with power, and instead of a distress call, it released a roar across the stars. A blast of energy and sound so raw that even the alien fleet recoiled. The obelisks trembled, their runes flickering, cracks appearing across their surfaces. The Empire commander's face twisted in shock. No, this is impossible. No one resists the silence, but the obelisks cracked further, glowing brighter until they burst apart one by one, shattering into dust. The Empire fleet scattered in fear as their ancient weapons failed. On the human bridge, the crew fell silent. The lights flickered back, systems crawling slowly to life. One officer gasped, We destroyed them," another whispered. "Or maybe they destroyed themselves, trying to silence us." The captain stood tall, his voice calm but heavy. "It does not matter how they fell. What matters is this. The galaxy now knows the Empire can bleed." His words struck deep, filling the crew with pride and terror at once. The comm channels buzzed again, ships of smaller species hailing them, voices shaking with both hope and fear. "Humans, we saw what you did. We saw the obelisks fall. We thought the Empire could never be challenged. But you showed us," the captain answered simply. "Then stand with us or stand free. But never kneel again." His words spread like fire through the comm, whispered in a dozen alien tongues as the wreckage of the obelisks drifted into the void. The Empire fleet withdrew once more, humiliated and shaken. The commander's final words echoed through static. "You have made enemies of gods, and gods do not forgive." But even his threat carried no weight now. The humans had broken their silence. They had turned fear into defiance. The crew on the bridge looked to their captain, his face carved with exhaustion, but lit by quiet fire. And he said the words that would be remembered. "This war is no longer about borders, it is about voices. And ours will never be silenced." In that moment, every survivor knew. The legend of humanity had grown again. No longer a mistake, no longer a trespass, but a defiance that even the darkest relics of the Empire could not erase. The stars burned brighter, as if bearing witness to the truth. The humans had refused to vanish, and the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy was no longer quiet after the fall of the obelisks. Whispers of rebellion spread across hidden channels and secret worlds. The name human carried a new weight. Some called them reckless, some called them cursed, but many called them hope. Aboard the human flagship, the crew sat exhausted yet unbroken. Their ship scarred but alive, the captain stood at the center of the bridge, his voice steady, though his eyes were heavy. "We struck them where they believed they were untouchable, but this victory will not make them weak. It will make them furious." One officer asked, "Sir, what do we do now?" The captain turned to face his people. "Now we prepare, because the Empire will not forgive us, and their next move will be worse than anything we have seen." Before more could be said, alarms blared. The comm officer shouted, "Incoming transmission, not human, not Empire either, it is different." Static filled the air before a strange figure appeared on the screen, tall, thin, eyes like burning coals. Its voice cracked like stone breaking. "Humans, you have opened a path we thought forever closed. The Empire is shaken, and so we come to you." The crew stiffened. Weapons officers reaching for controls. But the captain raised his hand. "Speak! Who are you?" The figure tilted its head. "We are the Keth, once rulers of our own stars. Until the Empire broke us, we survived in shadows, waiting, and now we see your fire. We come to ask if you will stand with us." The crew exchanged looks of disbelief. An officer whispered, "Allies, sir. Can we trust them?" The captain's eyes narrowed. "Trust is a luxury, but survival requires risk," he addressed the alien. "If you stand with us, the Empire will strike you too." The Keth's dark eyes glowed. "They already hunt us. Better to die fighting than live on our knees." Silence stretched across the bridge before the captain nodded slowly. "Then we fight together." The comm cut and tension filled the room. One young officer muttered, "Sir, if other broken races join, the Empire may face something it never has before." The captain answered coldly. A united front, but even as they spoke, the Empire's vengeance was already coming. Sensors screamed again, detecting new ships. Not dozens, but hundreds. A massive fleet tearing through hyperspace, their hulls gleaming like dark fire. "Sir, an entire battle armada, more than 200 warships," the sensor officer cried, fear breaking his voice. The crew felt the air grow heavy. The captain's jaw tightened. So the Empire finally shows its true hand. The armada filled the stars, surrounding the humans and their new Keth allies. The Empire commander's face appeared once more, his fury no longer hidden. You destroyed the obelisks, you broke the silence, and you think that makes you strong. No, it makes you dangerous, and dangerous things must be erased. His voice thundered across the channel. The captain stepped forward. You may erase ships, you may burn worlds, but you cannot erase the will to resist. You have already lost. Because the galaxy is watching, the alien sneered. Then let them watch as you burn, and he cut the feed. The first wave of fire came instantly, the Empire's armada opening up with blinding energy. Human shields screamed, Keth ships crumbled. The bridge shook as if struck by a hammer. Alarms roared. One officer shouted, "Shields at 40%. "We cannot last," another voice cried. "We are outnumbered 20-1. Panic spread. The captain's voice cut through it, calm and sharp. "Then make them pay for every strike. Do not give them easy victory." His words steadied trembling hands. Weapons fired back. Missiles tore through space. Keth fighters screamed forward in swarms. Explosions lit the sky. One Empire cruiser fell, then another, but still they came. Endless fire raining down. In the chaos, the calm lit up with more signals. Not human, not Keth, but from distant worlds. Smaller fleets arriving. Battered ships held together with scrap. Alien voices shouted through the channels. "We heard your signal, humans. We will not bow either." Ships of forgotten races threw themselves into the fight. Their weapons old, but their courage fierce. The crew gasped as dozens of unexpected allies filled the void. "Sir, they are joining us!" one officer cried. The captain's voice was steady. "Then we show them how to fight." The battle became a storm. Ships colliding, fire streaking across the dark. Human warships leading charges, allies rallying behind them. The Empire fought like a beast cornered, but for the first time it faced not one enemy but many. Yet victory was still far. The Empire unleashed its titans, massive dreadnoughts emerging from hyperspace, each the size of a small moon, their cannons glowing like suns. "Sir, those ships could crush us all," the weapons officer whispered. Fear breaking through, the captain stared at the giants and said, "Then we strike the heart. We aim not to survive, but to make them fear." He ordered all ships to focus fire on the lead dreadnought. Missiles, beams, and plasma stormed its shields. The beast groaned but did not fall. Its cannons answered, tearing through half a Keth fleet. Screams filled the comm before silence took them. The human crew flinched but fought harder. "Sir, we cannot hold," the engineer cried. "The core is failing." The captain's eyes darkened. "Then we burn bright," he whispered. In that moment, a desperate idea struck. He turned to his officers. "Prepare the ramming sequence. Full power to engines." "Lock our ship on that dreadnought!" Gasps filled the room. One young officer shouted, "Sir, that's suicide." The captain's voice was calm but heavy. "If our ship falls, it will not fall quietly. It will fall as a spear." Silence held the crew for a moment, before one by one they nodded. "For humanity," they whispered. The engines roared, the ship surged forward. Weaving through fire, the dreadnought loomed larger and larger, its weapons tearing chunks from their hull. Alarms screamed, flames licked the bridge, crew held their breath. The captain's voice cut through the chaos. "All power, now!" The ship slammed into the dreadnought. Reactors overloading, a blinding explosion ripped across the void. Light brighter than a star consumed the giant. When it cleared, the dreadnought was gone. Shattered into fire and debris, the human ship too was gone. Only fragments drifting, silence followed. Then a cheer spread across the allied fleets. Voices crying in a dozen languages, they struck down the Titan. "The Empire bleeds," the Empire fleet faltered. Its commanders shaken, their pride wounded beyond repair. More allies surged forward, pressing the attack, the tide turning. On another human ship watching from afar, officers stared at the glowing wreck, grief heavy in their chests. But also pride, one whispered. They gave everything, and they broke the unbreakable. Their captain's voice was quiet but fierce. Then we must carry their fire, the battle raged on. The Empire pulling back under the weight of resistance. And across the galaxy news would spread. Humans had not only refused to kneel, they had thrown themselves against giants and won. The stars carried a new story now, one written in blood, fire and defiance. A story that would never die, because the humans had proved one truth. The Empire could destroy ships, worlds, even lives, but it could never destroy the will of those who refused to back down. The battlefield drifted in silence after the dreadnought fell. Broken ships scattered like bones across the void, fires burning where metal still held. The allied fleets limped together, cheering through weary voices. But beneath the celebration ran a deep fear, for everyone knew the Empire was not finished. Aboard a surviving human cruiser, the crew sat in stunned silence, mourning the ship that had rammed the Titan. The captain of the cruiser finally spoke, his voice heavy but sharp. They gave everything, but this war is far from over. An officer nodded grimly. Sir, the Empire will come again, and stronger. The captain's eyes narrowed. Yes, and we must be ready. Suddenly sensors screamed again, detecting strange energy ripples spreading across the sector. Sir, it's not ships, it's something else, the sensor officer whispered. The view screens flickered, then lit with a vision that froze every heart. A massive shadow moved across the stars, larger than any dreadnought, its form twisting like a living storm. The crew gasped. What is that? One muttered. It's not a ship, it's a weapon. The comm crackled with a voice. Cold and proud, the Empire commander's face appeared once more. His expression calm, but his eyes burning. You think yourselves heroes, but you have only awakened the Empire's true power. Behold the Leviathan forged in the age before your kind learned fire. It does not fight wars, it ends them. The humans stared at the monstrous construct, its surface alive with shifting plates and glowing veins. As if the void itself bent around it, one young officer whispered, How do we fight that? The captain's voice was steady but low. We do not fight it with fear, we find its weakness, the Empire commander sneered. Weakness? No, there is none. Surrender now and I may allow some of you to serve as slaves. His words dripped with arrogance, but the human captain cut him off. We would rather burn in the stars than crawl in chains. The Leviathan moved, slow but unstoppable, its energy fields rippling, waves of distortion tearing apart debris and pulling smaller ships into its gravity. Screams filled the comms as allied vessels vanished into its crushing pull. The human crew clenched their fists. Sir, if it gets closer, we are finished, the engineer warned. The captain studied the shifting patterns on the creature's hull. It feeds on energy, just like the hunters. But on a far greater scale, he muttered. Then we must give it something it cannot eat. The weapons officer frowned. Sir, what could that be? The captain's eyes hardened. Chaos. He ordered the fleet to scatter again, to fire in unpredictable patterns, missiles set to random detonation. Cannons firing at odd intervals, the Leviathan shifted, its fields trying to absorb the energy, but struggling against the disorder. Its glow flickered. Sir, it's working. It can't consume everything, the officer cried. But the victory was short. The Leviathan roared, unleashing a wave of crushing force that ripped through the void. Dozens of ships shattered instantly, more screamed into static. The human cruiser shook violently, sparks showering the bridge. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7, someone shouted. The captain held firm. Keep firing. Keep confusing it. Then an unexpected transmission broke through. Not from the Empire, not from an ally, but from deep within the Leviathan itself. A broken voice whispered, Help! Help us! The crew froze. The comm officer's eyes widened. Sir, it's coming from inside that thing. Disbelief filled the room. There are people inside, another officer gasped. The voice returned, faint and cracked. We were taken. Bound into the core, it feeds on us, please. The captain's chest tightened. The Leviathan was not only a weapon, it was a prison. Its strength drawn from enslaved minds. The Empire had hidden living beings inside to power their nightmare. If they are inside, then destroying it means killing them. one crewman whispered. The captain's jaw clenched. No, we find another way. He ordered scans of the Leviathan. Searching for weak points, the sensors lit up. Sir, there is a central chamber, heavily shielded, but if we break through it, we can free them, the engineer said. The captain nodded. Prepare a strike team, gasps filled the bridge. Sir, you mean to board it? The captain's voice was steady. Yes, because if we free them, we break the beast. Moments later, a small squadron of shuttles launched. Weaving through fire as the Leviathan lashed out, the human captain led the assault himself, boarding through a scarred vent on the creature's hull. Inside, they found endless corridors of shifting black metal, the walls pulsing like veins. The air heavy with whispers, one soldier muttered. This place feels alive, the captain said coldly. Then cut it open. They fought through swarms of automated drones, metal claws and burning eyes striking from the dark. Every step forward paid in blood, but they pressed on. Until at last they reached the core, a vast chamber glowing with blue light. Hundreds of figures bound in cages of energy, their eyes wide with pain, their voices echoing in broken unison. Free us, the captain's heart burned. We will, he swore. His team set charges around the core, drones swarming to stop them. But the humans fought like wolves, blades and fire in their hands. Finally, the charges detonated, the core shattered, and the prisoners collapsed as the Leviathan screamed, its glow fading, its fields collapsing. Outside, the Allied fleets watched in awe as the giant began to fall apart. The Empire commander's face appeared again, twisted with rage. You dare defile the Empire's greatest weapon. You will pay. But his words sounded hollow now. The captain's reply was steel. You built your power on chains, we break them. And that is why you will lose, the comm cut. The Leviathan cracked open, breaking into fragments. The freed prisoners carried out by shuttles. The Allied fleets cheered through tears, voices shouting across channels, the Leviathan is gone. The humans broke it. The crew returned to their ship, battered but alive, their captain standing tall, his voice soft but fierce. We face the Empire's God, and it bled, remember this day, for it will echo across the stars. The galaxy trembled, for in one battle, humans had destroyed not only fleets, not only relics, but the very fear the Empire had used for centuries. From now on, every world would know that the Empire could be challenged. And in the quiet of the stars, the humans understood their path was not finished. The war was far from over, but hope had been born, and it burned brighter than any weapon. Because hope had teeth, and humanity would never back down.